it's Andrea from Mind and Matter, here to give you a little class that's going to be really good for the knees. So go ahead and get started by taking one foot just slightly in front of the other. I've taken my right foot forward and my left foot is slightly back. And all you're going to begin to do is try to drag your big toe back towards your heel without letting your toes scrunch up or get any wrinkles in them. So if you look down, it should be like you're trying to get the mound underneath the big toe to kind of inch back to reach towards the heel. And what this will do is start to activate your arch in the middle of your foot. So you shouldn't really see any tensing up at the front of the ankle. Your knee shouldn't be locked out too much. Really, it's just a feeling like you could get that arch to get a little bit deeper. So just seeing whether that's possible for you, maybe trying to get the toes to spread out, to keep them from wrinkling, keep them pretty extended, rather than trying to grip into the ground. Do that a couple of times, and then try the other side. So take the other foot forward, bring the right foot just slightly back, and do the same thing. So you're trying to get the mound of the big toe to come back towards the heel, to get a feeling like the middle of your arch is going to start lifting up towards the ceiling like a little parachute. Again, that shouldn't bring any feeling of tension or rigidity through the front of the ankle. That's not part of the foot that we want to activate. Just doing that a couple of times. And then bringing both feet back parallel to each other. Now you're going to take all 10 toes, lift them up and away from the floor as high as they'll possibly go. Spread them out as far as you can and then slowly lower them down. Doing that again, and I want you to see if you can keep the weight evenly distributed between your first, your last toe, and your heel as you slowly lower. 2 more times. And it's okay for the front of the ankle to feel like it's doing a bit of work here. That's normal. And then we're going to lift up through the heels. So toes are going down, heels are coming up, and you should end up on the big toe rather than out towards the little toe. So stay lifted there. See if you can keep your height as you lower the heels down. You should have a really light touch onto the heels. See if you can open up the hips a little bit more here, and then do the same thing, lifting up through the heels. And slowly lowering down. A couple more times. Last time. Excellent. Now we're going to take the right foot and you're going to start to roll over the big toe. So what I mean by that is that you're going to let your toes come under and you're going to let your heel come in line with your first and second toe. Send a little bit of weight, a little bit of pressure onto that part of the foot. And then start to roll back up and over the toes again. Do that again. So you're rolling up, heel comes in line with the first and second toe. You put a bit of pressure through those as you roll up and over, and let the front of the ankle, front of the foot really start to open out here. And let it back down. One more time on this side. And then what you're going to do, you're going to leave your big toe where it is and see if you can get your other 4 toes to come in front of it. So your big toe ends up coming slightly down and behind the other toes, kind of a bit of a hard one. If you need to, you can use your fingers to get your toes to come a little bit more forward. A little bit of pressure there. It'd be a little bit painful, so go easy. That's quite a nice one to do on the mat. And then see if you can switch. So you leave your big toe out and your little toes go under. Again, you might need to use your hand to assist you until you get used to doing this one. So your big toe should be out, your 4 other toes are tucking under. Sometimes it's helpful to use your hand to kind of understand what your foot is doing. So you can keep the weight over the first and the second toe rather than letting the foot go out to the side. Keep it tracking towards the center. And then release that. Just take a moment to really feel the difference between the 2 feet before we move on to doing the other side. And then we'll start to roll through this foot. So we're coming up, letting your weight come over the first and the second toe as you roll over and through. Keep a bit of pressure there as you come back. And again, rolling up and over. Letting all the toes have a good stretch back as your ankle stretches forward. And then back up and over. One last time. And then we're going to keep that big toe tucking behind. Let your other 4 toes stay out. So letting that kind of sense that maybe you use your fingers here to give you an idea of what's happening. Your 4 fingers stay out and your thumb is tucking under to give you the idea of what your toes are doing. And then you'll switch. So you'll try to get those 4 toes under, try to get your big toe out. This side isn't as willing as my other. So you might find that your 2 sides are quite different to each other. Good. Okay. And what we're going to do is take your right foot up so you're standing onto your left foot and start to bend your knee on that left side and then straighten. Do that a couple of times. Might be a little wobbly. Notice I'm a little bit wobbly. Even though I've done this a few times, it really takes some practice to start to build up your strength here. And then try your other side. So again, it might be really noticeable the difference between the 2 sides. Notice that for yourself. Just bending and straightening, really trying to track your knee over your first and second toe. And then place that foot down. Okay, let's take the right foot forward here. You're going to take your left foot back. You're going to place your hands on your hips and really feel those bony protrusions that you have at the front of your hips. Mine are about here on me, so you're going to place your fingertips on there. And I want you to take your right hand, the right hand on the bony protrusion of your hip, and bring it forward. So notice I'm not taking my whole body forward, I'm just taking the hip forward. And you'll notice that sends your back end back, so you really get a nice stretch deep into the hips. And then send the right front hip back so that the left hip can slightly come forward in front of it. I'm just going to do that a few times. Coming forward and back with the hips. Feeling that deep stretch that you get right into the hip joint. And if you pause while you're back, you might even feel some activation through the little glute muscle here. A couple more times. And then pause in the center. Take your right hand onto your chest. And you're going to use your left hand to stop your hip from turning around as you take your chest in towards your right leg. So asking that rotation to come up through the top of the torso and then come back. Looks like quite an easy movement, but can be quite challenging depending on how much movement you have through your upper spine. Last time here. Then we're going to rotate that back foot to 90 degrees. So now you should be facing the wall to your side. You're going to take your back foot, keeping your front foot where it is, and just step it around. So you're using one foot as an anchor. If you have your right foot forward, you're using that foot as your anchor as you just step around it. What happens if you let that leg stay quite straight? Maybe you want to keep a little bend in it. Just Just notice the activation through the glute, if anything's happening there. Maybe you're getting a nice stretch through that hip. All right, and then come back to the center. We're going to do the same thing on the other side. So your left foot is now coming forward, your right foot is back. Placing your hands on your hips, feeling for those bony protrusions, and you're just taking your left hip forward and then sending it back. You really want to feel that deep stretch that you get while doing this. A couple of times. And then pause in the center. Take your left hand on your chest, right hand stays where it is on the hip so that you can rotate around in towards that leg. And again, for me, I really notice that I'm not able to go as far as on this side as on the other. So just notice whether your two sides are really different. Last time here. And then we're going to rotate that back foot to face the opposite wall now and begin to step around your foot, which is still anchored into the floor. Try not to take your mat with you. There we go. All right. And then we're going to keep that back foot back. Really straighten out your feet, and you might actually let your front foot come a little bit off of your mat now, because when you kneel, you want your knee to be onto a nice soft surface. So just being aware that you're going to kneel down, find a stance that will work for you to allow that to happen, and then go ahead and kneel. So what you want to feel is that you have a really vertical thigh, really vertical torso here. Your toes are tucked behind you so that you can start to send the weight back, and that's what's going to help you to have a little lift up. Do that again. Just going to do that a few times, really feeling like it's the hips that are sending you back and up. Last time. Good, and then we'll stay down here. Now, I'm going to have to move slightly forward because I don't have enough room behind me. Make sure you do have enough room because we're going to take this front leg and we're going to swing it around at 90 degrees. And then you're going to sit back so that you come into a little Z position with your legs. I'll show you that again. So the way you get out of that is to send your hips forward and swing that leg around again. So just like you did when you were up and standing, but now we're kneeling. So you're taking that back foot around all the way so that you come into a Z sit position. Do that one more time, coming up. This leg is staying anchored where it is, and you're swinging that other leg around. All right, we're going to stay in this Z sit position. And all you're going to start to do is open out through that back hip. So if you take your hand onto that hip, really onto the top of the thigh, you can feel how it rotates forward and rotates back. And for some people, you might not get a lot of movement here. It might feel quite tight or restricted. So just see how this goes for you. Opening it out and then sinking back into it. Really leading with the hips first of all. Feeling that opening here. And then what you can do is open out through the hips, take your torso around, use your hands now so that you can open and twist around to really give you that lovely full body stretch. And then release, come back around. We'll do that one more time. Keeping your knee as that little anchor point to open up through the hip, to rotate around through the torso. Maybe your gaze can go a little bit further this time. Nice big deep breath here. And then come back to the center. All right. Didn't leave myself enough room again here. So what we're going to try to do is flip the legs around without using the hands. See if you can do that for yourself. Feel free to use as much of the mat in the room as you need. It's quite a fluid space that we have here. Okay, and the next time that your legs are in the opposite direction to what they were before, you're going to stay over there. So now your opposite foot should be forward. We're going to open up through that other hip. Beautiful. And then add in that rotation around. Doing that 2 times on this side, using your arm to give you a little bit of support, a little bit more twist. And then come back around. I'm going to flip the legs over one more time. And we're going to take the sternum over that front leg. So what I mean by that is that I'm going to take my torso down over the top of my thigh so that my torso is resting on my thigh. My hands are pretty light here. Not really a lot of support going on with my arms. So that I'm not really just weighted all the way over my leg. I've still got a little bit of work going on to keep me supported here. So what we're going to start to do is take this bottom leg, this back leg, and start to lift it up. So the foot will lift and lower, keeping the torso nice and relaxed. Shouldn't be much movement going on through the pelvis or the torso. It's just simply that back leg lifting and lowering. And then we'll do the same with the knee. So keep the foot where it is. Try to get that knee as high as it can go without causing any pain or discomfort, or real activation through the pelvis or the torso. Just do that a few times. Notice what that's like for you. It's a bit shaky for me. And then we'll come up, switch to the other side without using the hands. Lower over the leg, torso is just lightly resting so that you can lift up through that back foot and lower it down. A few times. And then lift up through the knee, leaving the foot where it is. Great. And then come up from there. Now we're going to come onto your mat into a quadruped position. So toes are going to stay tucked under. Hands are going to be right underneath the shoulders. And then try to send some of your weight back. So you want a really nice, lovely, long, straight spine. No kind of arching this way or arching that way so your bum sticks out. Want to have a nice little curve through the lumbar spine and through the neck, but nice, long, elongated mid-back. Okay, so weight, like I said, we're going to shift slightly back so you don't actually have that much weight onto your hands. You could start to just lightly lift them here. That would be quite easy. So you should feel some activation going on through your toes. Heels are pressed back and your legs are just slightly activated. So it should be quite easy for you here to take one arm forward, place it down, and then take the other arm forward, take it down. Now, I'm just going to move slightly forward so I have enough room, because now I'm going to send my leg back. Using my hip, I'm going to start to extend it out and straighten it out so that my leg fully, my toes fully extend towards the wall behind me, and then bring it back in. Tuck the toes. Make sure you still have that lightness under the hands, and try the other side. Really fully extending and reaching through those toes, and then bring it back. We're going to try opposite arm, opposite leg now. So it should feel like you've got an equal amount of weight resting onto the limbs that stay on the floor. Nice. Just going to do that one more time to each side. And then press yourself back. We're going to stay here for a second, just resting onto your heels, onto your toes. It's quite a nice stretch out for the foot. And then what we'll do from here is we're going to send the hips forward. Now you should feel toes really active, heels reaching back so that you can reach your hips forward. And that's giving you support through your feet so that you're, you can really feel this opening up through the front of the hips. You're going to take your arms, crossed over your shoulders, and have a little lean back from here. So it should feel like your knees and your head are in one long straight line. We're going to do 2 more times, leaning back, coming forward, last time. And then straighten out the toes, straighten out the feet, bring your knees together, and you're going to sit back onto the tops of your feet. So depending on how tight you are through the front of your ankles, this might be a little bit painful. Just go easy here. Take a little forward fold over your knees. Arms are going to come up behind you. Clasp your arms, your hands together so that you can get a nice stretch out through the front of the shoulders. Couple of breaths here. And then come on back up. Without using your hands, you're going to bring one foot forward, tuck those back feet, and we're coming on up to our standing. Okay. So we still have our other side to do our forward lunges on. So now bring your other foot out. Make sure you've got enough room for your back leg. I think we started, yeah. Excellent. So just do a few of your forward lunges here. Good. And then step forward. I'm just going to step off of my mat to bring my legs all the way together. Bend through one knee. So I'm taking my right foot up to keep my knees connected here. And I want you to see if you can have a little hinge at the hips. So knees are staying squeezing, and you're just slightly hinging forward with your whole torso going as one, just like that. Do that one more time. This is going to prepare us for our next movement. And then try the other side. So right foot now down, left knee bends, squeezing the knees together, and you're hinging forward at the hips. Spine is growing ever longer as you do this. No bending at the spine anywhere. Real support through the big toe mound of the foot on the floor. Bring the other foot down. And then we're going to bring the right leg up to the chest. So really squeeze that leg in. Get your left hip to really open here. So feel like the left leg is getting longer and longer. The back of the left leg is really opening here. And then you're going to start to hinge at the hips again. You're going to send the right leg behind you. Your arms are going to extend out long. And your heel is going to reach back, back, back. So you feel like your hands and your leg are reaching in opposition to each other. Bring it back through. See if you can keep your foot from touching the floor. Hug it on in tight. Really send the left foot down, stand up and away from that foot to open up through the left hip, and then start to release, start to send it back so that your arms come forward. Your heel comes back and reaches out behind you. Good, and then that foot can come down. I'm going to turn to the side so that you can see what it looks like from the side on this side. Hug that left knee in now, nice and close. Really stand down through the right foot so you feel the back of the right knee opening and the right hip opening. And then you start to hinge forward, send that left foot back, send the arms forward. Really reach through that back heel. Try to keep the foot from touching the ground as it comes through again. Squeeze and hug it in. And then start to hinge. Take that leg back. Take the arms forward to reach, 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 up and away. Beautiful. Okay. Final thing we'll do here is a series of squats. One going, or lunges rather, one going forward, one going back, one going out to the side, and then what's called a dragon squat or lunge, depending on what you call it. Okay, let's start with our forward lunge. So I'm going to get my mat out of the way here, just so that it doesn't get complicated. And we're going to start with the right foot. So what you want to think about is leading with the hips forward. Feel as if you were going to maybe fall forward and you were going to use that right foot to catch you, and then dip the left knee down and come back up. We're going to do 3 on this side. So it's really nice, bouncy, fluid motion. Okay, going to do the same thing stepping back, so make sure there's enough room behind you. You're going to take that right foot, hips are coming back, and you're bending through the right knee to now touch it down to the floor and come back forward. Do that 3 times. Now out to the side. So we're taking a really wide stance here, as wide as feels comfortable for you. Going to keep with that right side foot. Bring it slightly forward and just rotating out slightly to the side. And what you're going to do, so this one you need to be careful around the knee joint. For some people it might be quite painful to come down really far into this lunge. So just go down as far as suits you today, but I want you to see how far that is. So what we're trying to do is keep the left back foot really anchored as you come as deeply into that lunge as feels good for you today. Good, 3 on that side, step back into the center. Final lunge is going to be the dragon lunge, which you take your right foot now back and behind the left, and you have a little curtsy down. Step it back through, and then step it back into your dragon lunge. See if you can get that knee to touch down to the floor. Good. All right. Now we've got that all to do on our left side. So your left foot is going to fall forward in front of you. You're going to catch yourself and press it back. You should really feel like you're falling through your first and your second toes on your standing foot. Do the same thing going back. So really feel like you land down onto those first and second toes to support you and help you come back. Wide stance for your deep side squat. Take that left foot slightly forward, slightly rotated out, and you're bending in to that left side as much as you can. Really feel the length that you're creating on this standing leg to kind of be pulled out and then snap you back to the center. All right, last lunge here is our dragon lunge. So you can get that left knee down this time. Good, last one. Excellent. Give those legs a little shake. We're going to check back into our heel lift just one last time to see if that feels any easier after doing that little routine. Just twice more, lifting up onto the ball of the big toe, slowly lowering down last time to land down gently onto the floor. Thank you very much.